Oh no, here we are again. Let's see, it is September 5th, 2020, and I haven't done a weather report for a while, and there is so much going on that I can't possibly do anything other than recap a few things. We've got the Smokey versus the Rage thing going on, which was really interesting all week. I'm putting together a whole bunch of links of a lot of different videos. Mostly they run on Maddox's channel, Smokey's channel, Praise That I Am. There's a whole lot of interesting developments in the community, in the brotherhood that I need to go over. And but basically Smokey versus the Rage and Smokey versus all women. We have some interesting things we're going to cover tonight on Saturday Night at the Atheist. I am waiting currently for Otangello to pop in to discuss another matter. But anyway, let's see. We also have Smokey claiming how irrelevant I am. Yet every time I pop into one of his streams, make one comment, he goes on a 5 or 10 minute tirade against me, him and Gavin. I am so irrelevant that they just can't ignore me. So there's a tactic for you, Smokey. Just ignore me. You don't have to insult me every time you see my name. You don't have to fly off the handle. I know I've gotten under your skin. Irrelevant indeed. I think Otangelo is here, but you are not in the stream, Otangelo. You have to get in there if you want to get in there. I sent you an email link. But let's see what else is going on. There's just plenty of, God, the sexism has they've doubled down on this. They made it very clear that it's their biblical doctrine that says that women have their place, and their place is not among men, not among authority. We will go over that on Saturday Night at the Atheist. And then there was the Rage. Okay, so Smokey was kind of lured onto Will Kincaid's channel. And Smokey was just totally flummoxed. I mean, you could almost see through his icon and see his expression. He didn't know what the hell to do. He had this plan that he was going to get the Rage to say all kinds of things about the whole sexism problem, and instead, Nakasuchi decided to not play his game and just told him a bunch of jokes. Hang on, Otangelo, just be a minute. And it was the funniest thing because there was all this humor that seemed to go completely over Smokey's head. And this is a theme that I have seen over and over again with Smokey. The man, even though he laughs constantly, has zero sense of humor. He doesn't get any of the irony. He didn't get the trash clown joke. He doesn't get anything. And then, oh my God, I got to go over this tonight. He was listening to me talk about naturalism in the first two pleasant conversations I had with him. And the amazing thing is he got my position 180 degrees wrong about something about what I would consider a more omnipotent or omniscient God. He just had it 180 degrees backwards. It goes to show you that he is not listening to what people are saying. Anyway, let's see. The other thing that happened is I was online on Praise That I Am's channel while Smokey was sleeping with Memory Lapse DM and let's see, some Calvatard or something, some Calvinist, and we were talking about naturalism, and it was a pretty interesting discussion. They decided to try to take me to task on naturalism, and we went kind of around in circles, showing once again that we have such vastly different worldviews that we can barely even communicate about how we derive our epistemology, how we live our lives. There's just this gap. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, let's see. Saturday Night at the Atheist, we hope to cover a great deal of that at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight. And I have Otangelo with me. Hi, Otangelo.
Hi, Michael. Yeah.
Yep. Hey. So we had a little exchange out of chat, and what I wanted to point out to you is what I was saying is that John Maddox doesn't know what he's talking about, and you actually ran the video yesterday, and I'm really surprised that you didn't catch that, or you didn't comment at all about how wrong Maddox was about this one particular position. Let me see here.
We can do it here. We can do it here, no problem.
What's that?
We can do it here, no problem.
Yeah. Let's see here. So this was the clip, and I can play it here. I think it'll work. Yeah. Hopefully, let me know if you can't hear the audio.
I'm not really sure what kind of a question that was. I guess the complete and utter fascinating ignorance of the talking point just spewed by my opponent is that it is a well-established premise that deterministic.
Okay, the first problem I have with Maddox is that he speaks complete gobbledygook. The talking point and going on about the premise this and the premise that. That's just all him posturing. He got his ass handed to him last night, I think it was, by a guy on the Trump versus Biden debate. We'll be playing that tonight. But anyway, that's not the problem.
And I'm paraphrasing a quote here. Deterministic chemistry no longer accounts for what we are discovering in biology.
Okay, that's just complete bullshit. Deterministic chemistry. And I think he doubles down. Let's play it out.
I mean, I can literally pull up the paper and show you the quote if you want, or you can read the entire paper.
Well, I mean, I don't have to read the paper.
It's my turn to respond, right?
Tell me how.
I literally explained one of them to you, which obviously went over your head. But let's go with the second one. So we have, you claim it is nothing but cascade chemical reactions. Well, what we're discovering with structural biology is that things are happening in literally different spatiotemporal regions that are happening simultaneously to another one that are then used in conjunction, but there was no initial cause and effect of the process to occur. So when you look at that way, you have, from a reality perspective, you have two separate functions being executed simultaneously, but then conjoined to have a alternative outcome. And this is reduced to such a simplistic, well, it's not simplistic, but such a fundamental component of life, which is the ribosome and the translation of mRNA into a polypeptide, that there is no chemical reaction between the codon and the amino acid. It is literally.
Okay, that is just pure bullshit. It is a chemical reaction. The only way you could claim it wasn't a chemical reaction is if you want to exclude basically dipole attraction, polarity, hydrogen bonding. There is a chemical reaction, and John seems to think there isn't a chemical reaction. And he actually believes this, that there's some sort of, how does he think it happens? How do you think mRNA gets translated into proteins?
Well, the medium is the tRNA, correct? And you have on the one side the messenger RNA codon, and you have the anticodon on the tRNA, and then you have on the opposite side of the tRNA where the amino acid is positioned by the amino acid tRNA synthetase, correct? And it is
how is that not a chemical reaction?
Well, I think the point that John is trying to make here, that there is not a direct a physical interaction between the codon, the anticodon, and the charge point on the other side of the tRNA where it is charged. There is a distance between the 2 points. And I think the crux here, Michael, is that the genetic code is a cipher which assigns triplet codons to amino acids. And the question which is unsolved by science is how that assignment has been done by unguided evidence.
Unguided, okay. So you want to, okay, so now we slide to abiogenesis and how that code came to be, but we're not going to do that here. We're talking about how proteins are translated, and you're claiming that tRNA is not a chemical? It's not a molecule? Is it a molecule or is it a molecule?
tRNA. Michael, I think this is not the point which John is trying to make.
No, that's what he said. He said there was no chemical reaction. He said it was non-deterministic, that there was no chemical reaction. How does he think that the proteins get created?
Okay, let me explain what I think that he is meaning by that. He says
what
that
I think he is meaning, let's look at what he said and what he's implying. He seems to think there's no chemical reaction. What he's meaning is he may be talking about the idea that there are adapter molecules and that there is a code and that the code is separated, that there could be any number of codes. But he didn't say that. He said there was no chemical reaction. And that's why Godless Engineer was bearing down upon him. And Maddox is being extremely arrogant about this no chemical reaction. And the paper, and then he wouldn't, I have requested that he give me the paper. Could you please ask him what paper he's talking about? Because what I think he's talking about is this paper right here, where they say these selections at successive decision nodes cannot be forced by deterministic cause and effect necessity. Okay, this is a paper, and it's by a guy who is quite prolific named David L. Abel. David L. Abel and Vincent D'Onofrio write complete gobbledygook, and they've done it over and over again, and they've been called on it by a number of people, that all they do is piece together a bunch of words and come up with an argument for ID, which has no basis other than them creating complexity like this, okay? When you analyze these papers, there's nothing there. But anyway, if John has another paper, he will not tell me what paper it is. He has about 150 papers in his document folder. Now, if he were to be honest about it and tell me what paper, that would be cool, right? Don't you think he should be honest?
But
do you think
John? Like to come back.
Oh, okay. No, I'm asking you a question. Do you think John should be honest and tell us what paper he's using as a reference?
Sure. I see no problem. Why? If he doesn't do it, I don't know why. I mean, I have no. I don't know why. At all. Yeah.
It sounds like intellectual dishonesty to me. Sounds like he's trying to pull one over on us. Maybe trying to hide the fact that he's getting everything that he's referring to from David Abel, who is a closet ideer, who's got a lot of problems in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that is my problem, and that's what I was talking about. And you wanted to talk about something else. I'm not sure what you brought up.
I was actually trying, Michael, to reference exactly to what I think that John is talking about.
He's talking out of his ass is what he's doing. He doesn't understand molecular biology, and he's pretending he does. He would never have said it that way if he understood anything about molecular biology. They're all chemical reactions. There's nothing in your body right now that is not a chemical reaction. Don't you agree with that?
Okay. Would you like me to try to explain what I think that he is meaning by that?
He's meaning the codon, right? That's what you're going to tell me. You're going to tell me that there's a translator, basically a tRNA, an adapter molecule that picks a particular pairs a particular amino acid, and that happens with aminoacyl transferase and synthetases, and that's how it gets selected. But that is biologically selected over the last 4 billion years. Basically, that is a selection process. There is a reason why that code is there. And they're starting to decipher this with current papers. They're figuring out that there is an affinity between certain amino acids and these codons, that the affinity is more direct than they thought before. And this is new research. Now, the other problem I have with John is he said that this is like new research in structural biology. We've known about tRNA since, I think, the 80s. Okay, and we've had basically we've crystallized them and checked out their structure and figured out their function. None of this shit is new. He's trying to imply that there's some new science that came up. No, there is not. It's not new. It's old science. It's in old textbooks that I have behind me from like 1990. So I mean, it's in the text, but and this is all textbook stuff. So, but you go ahead now and try to explain what you think John meant.
Okay, I think that John means by chemical reaction a molecule which interacts directly with another molecule. And what he tries to explain is that there is a physical distance between the anticodon and the binding site of the amino acid on the tRNA. There is a distance. So the
And what's between that distance? What's between that amino acid and that codon? What is it that's between that distance? What is in there?
Between the anticodon is the tRNA molecule, which
it's the molecule.
I think what he tries to explain, Michael, is that there is that distance between the anticodon and the place where the amino acid is positioned on the tRNA. There is a distance. So that's why he says there is no direct physical interaction. Now, I would like to come back to what you claimed just previously, that science is trying to figure out.
Okay, hang on. We're not done with John yet. It is a molecule. On one end of it, it has one end of the molecule. On the other end of it, it has another end of the molecule. That is a chemical reaction. There is a chemical reaction, a binding between that codon and that transfer RNA, which has a particular amino acid. It's a lock, and it has to do with how that amino acid got charged onto that tRNA. It's called charging when the amino acid is esterified with the tRNA. Okay, but that is all chemistry. Esterification is a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction happens when it attaches to that protein. So why is he trying to claim, the godless engineer who is not a molecular biologist, that there's no chemical reaction or no determinism? That sounds very deterministic to me.
Well,
so are you going to keep defending his mistake? You're going to keep defending his mistake. You can't even admit that John got this completely wrong and he doesn't understand the process. You're going to claim that he...
Michael, I would agree that in a general sense, we are talking about chemical reactions in a general sense. But I think, and I explained this 2 times to you, what I think that John was meaning is that there is no direct physical interaction between the anticodon and the amino acids because there is a distance between the 2 sites on the tRNA.
And you could say that about any enzyme that there is. Enzymes are huge, much bigger than tRNAs. All enzymes have that property that they are attracted to they basically lock onto something. Okay, they adhere to some other molecule, and some chemical reaction happens as a result. This is no different than any other enzymatic reaction, other than that we have discovered that it's not the proteins, but it's actually the RNA, that it's a ribozyme. The RNA is what does the work, but it is causing a chemical reaction. It doesn't matter. What he is talking about is the supposed random selection of the code, right? You understand that?
That is the crux of the issue and the real problem. But
it's not a problem anymore. Go ahead. Talk about the current research on this, because I have paper after paper.
Well, Michael, first of all, I am just trying to make an interpretation of what I think that John was meaning by that claim that there is no direct physical reaction. I think I clarified that. You can ask him if that is what he meant, but that is what I understand that he means.
He won't even provide the paper. Why would he tell me what he meant? But it isn't what he meant. It's what he said. He got it wrong. And he said this on several different video feeds, that there is no chemical reaction, and he is completely full of shit. And I don't understand why you just don't admit that John doesn't know about this particular interaction, that he doesn't understand the biology enough to make a clear comment about it. And you're going to double down and you're going to get behind him just because he's one of your brothers, and you will not even admit to a simple error. Well, it's actually a pretty big error that he's made over and over again. He's done it with Erica. He's done it on many of his talks where he'll say, "Oh, there's no deterministic cause and effect." There sure as hell is. We know there is. We have empirical evidence for this, all of it in detail. We know this science. We've known it for 30 years.
Well, I think I have very clearly stated what happens between the anticodon and the amino acid, where there is a distance from one side to the other. Now, I repeat myself. If I understand that this is what John meant, and he had a purpose to say that. And the purpose is, which you claim that it is solved, which I completely disagree with you, Michael, and I can expose why. Because assignments of meaning are always originated by intelligence. They do not occur.
No. You can't make that leap. How do you know that?
By experience. We know that we can
experience.
Yes, of course. We can, for example, make a translation book from English to Chinese. We have the meaning of
we're not talking about books. We're not talking about books. Don't use analogies. Your ID world analogies are just continual. We don't care about cars. We don't care about factories. We don't care about machines, clocks, anything that humans make, that we understand that humans make. We're talking about molecules here. Now, if you look at tRNA, okay, what they used to think back in about I think the late 70s, maybe the 80s, they used to think that it was the proteins that attached the amino acid to the nascent protein chain, right? Well, then they found out that they could remove a whole bunch of the proteins and it didn't matter. It still worked. It didn't work as well, but it worked. They found out that it was the RNA that was doing the chemical reaction, that was the cause of it. Well, then they started looking at, they found a particular bacteria, I forget the name of it, but they found a bacteria where just the RNA is there doing the work. So it's nothing more than RNA world, basically, or a piece of RNA world. So all of the complexity of the ribosome that you see, the ADS ribosome, is a bunch of proteins that have become attached, but it's the tRNA at the center that is doing the catalyzes the reaction. And there's a bunch of new research on that. And they're finding out recently that the proteins are mostly to stabilize the molecule and to make it more efficient, and that is selected for. So we can go all the way back to abiogenesis, and we can look at how these codons happen. And when you look at how these codons happened, you end up with a small subset of amino acids that were easily available in prebiotic Earth, okay, that created the first codons, the first codes. And there's an affinity that they have figured out statistically. There's a reason why the particular code that was selected got selected. And there's a whole bunch of research, but we don't know about that world back there. You keep, I've been accused of not wanting to come into debates. It's because this gets fairly detailed, okay? And we do not know how life started on Earth. We don't know. After 70 years, we know more. And in another 40 years, we're going to know even more. But right now, we don't know. So we don't know. But you don't know how God did it either. So we're on even ground, right?
Well, I don't have to have an explanation of the explanation, Michael.
What's that?
I do not need to have an explanation of the explanation.
Well, why do I? Why do I need to explain? Have you heard of Yockey? Yockey? He mathematically proved. I think he did some math on information, and he basically proved that we will never know how something that long ago happened. The impossibility, because there are so many different pathways that we'll never know. So, I mean, if because we don't know, you're going to say God did it, then you are definitely in a God of the gaps territory. And you guys do this over and over again. Every time I get into a conversation, you want to go all the way back and you want me to explain abiogenesis. Well, we do not fucking know how it got started, okay? That is the problem. We don't know, but we are learning what the possibilities are, and that is abiogenesis research. You guys come in and say, we don't know, therefore God. How is that not God of the gaps?
That's what you accuse us to do, but I disagree with you, Michael. I don't think that.
I know you do. because you rely on the Bible, okay?
No.
Bible. You start with the Bible. You were a believer before you learned anything. You were a believer.
Come on, Michael.
The Bible does not want you.
Come on, Michael. I'm not positing the Bible. I am saying that intelligence is a better causal explanation than random unguided events. That's all. I am not going into religious claims. Now,
of course you are. That's your whole basis. That's how you think everything happened. It was real. It was God. God did it. But you won't even tell us how he did it. If you would just please tell me where you think ID intervened. Are you an old Earth creationist or young?
No, let's not move to another topic, Michael. Let's stay on this topic.
It is the topic.
I don't think we need to move now to that's a separate issue. If everything happened a few thousand years ago or billions of years ago, that's not. You have a word in English, and the same meaning of the word in Italian. Let's suppose a chair. A chair in Italian means una sedia. Okay, you have two words but with the same meaning. Okay, now in biochemistry you have a codon, a triplet nucleotides which have an assignment to a specific amino acid. Are we agreeing with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
so.
Yeah.
The question is the assignment of the name chair to sedia in Italian. This is an assignment that only can come from intelligence. We as intelligent beings, we assign meaning to a code.
Okay, wait, well, back up. How do you know it can only come from intelligence? How do you know that?
Because non-intelligence doesn't make assignments of meaning to codes.
How do you know that?
Well, by experience, we know that we as intelligent beings, we can do that. We can assign meaning to a code and then assign the meaning of that code to another language, where in that other language, the other word means the same as the Italian word sedia has the same meaning in English as chair. And we as intelligent beings, we can do the assignment of these two codes.
Okay, what kind of a being creates a language where we talk to each other and we write down things on books? What kind of a thing is that?
Well, we are humans. We know that as intelligent
we're humans,
right?
Okay, we're apes. Okay, apes do that.
So
apes
now
do that.
You have as a contrast non-intelligence, which you need to explain how did the assignment of, for example, we have.
I have to explain, okay. And that's what I started to do with you. Is I started to explain it. There are papers. There are current papers in abiogenesis research that explains how those codons happen. In fact, we're going to have a gentleman.
Michael, I'm asking you. You have
What's
64 we have 64 codons, which are and of those 61 are assigned to 20 amino acids, and we have 3 start or stop codons, which are instruct when a polypeptide chain has to stop being processed. And that that assignment of that 64 codons to the 20 amino acids is fixed. They call it even a frozen accident when they don't invoke God. So the crux of the issue here, how has that assignment occurred without anyone that makes that assignment? How did that occur by prebiotic unguided means?
Why would it not occur? Why do you believe that there?
Because
Okay,
we have
if you have a,
let me answer to that, Michael. Because we have never experienced that non-intelligent things, matter, does assign meaning and codes to other things. It doesn't.
of course we
There
have.
is no
We experience it all of the time. Look out your window, find a tree. If you have a tree in your neighborhood, look at it. Okay. There's no intelligent designer out there fixing that tree, making that happen. That's all happening naturally through chemical reactions. You have no evidence of an intelligent designer designing a tree. None. You're just assuming it does because the only thing you know, you're using a language analogy, which is something we know humans have done. You're using clocks, watches, machines, factories, all of that over and over again in your head because you believe strongly that there's some kind of magic genie that created everything in the beginning. That's why you believe it. We have no evidence that an intelligent designer created those molecules out there in the tree or is doing anything about them. So why do you keep and you just assume that you go from if it's complicated and it's a code, then it had to be intelligence. Okay. No, that there's no inference. You're not making the connection. You are not convincing me that there has to be a connection. I can see how things can, with chemical complexity and life, basically the process of life, creating these ever-increasing complex molecules with the energy from the sun. I can see how it can happen naturally. I can imagine it. You have to convince me that it's impossible. You aren't doing that. That's all you're doing is telling me, oh, it's complicated, so it can't happen. Well, humans can't do it. We can't create cells. So how in the hell do you see where an intelligent being created it? It happened naturally. Intelligence has not been able to pull it off yet. You understand? You're not making your case.
That's your claim, Michael. You are just making a bunch of claims, but where is your evidence?
And so are you. You're making the claim that you have to have intelligence for this code to happen. Well, we're starting to look into how this code happened mechanistically, okay? And we can see evidence for how it happened. We have evidence of this, and you're ignoring it. You're just looking at the top.
Michael, let me answer to that. We have evidence that intelligence can assign meaning to a codified word. Like, as I said before, the word chair in English, we can assign it to the word sedia in Italian. And then when there is a common agreement of meaning between you and me, when I say chair, and then you can automatically understand when you read the word sedia that it has the same meaning because there is a common agreement between us. But unintelligent things, they cannot produce that kind of assignment and meaning. I think this is the crux of the issue. And we have the same situation in molecular biology, in biochemistry, where there is a set of 64 codons assigned to 20 amino acids.
Blah, blah, 61, 20, 64. Okay, yeah. Fine. Okay, we've been through all this. We know all this. We know all this.
Yes,
okay.
You need to provide an example, evidence that unguided random means can do the same because we know that intelligence can.
But you don't need to provide. You don't need to provide evidence that some kind of God
I just did
created everything.
A moment. I just provided evidence that intelligence can assign meaning to things, to code.
What was your
But
what was your evidence that we have a language? That's your evidence that
the
humans have
evidence,
a language between them.
I,
You're saying
no,
that
but
because it's similar, that basically
Michael,
humans that it had to be intelligence.
Michael,
What is your evidence?
I gave you a concrete example that intelligence can assign meaning to codified words. A chair in Italian means sedia. When we have a common agreement of meaning, then when I say chair and on the other side you read sedia, you know that the sedia means the same, means chair. So this is based on intelligence, on intelligent actions. We as intelligent beings, we can assign meaning to things. We have literally no evidence that non-intelligent mechanisms can do the same. And that is the crux of the issue here, Michael. How did the assignment of the 64 or the 61 codon words be assigned to 20 amino acids without there being an intelligence doing that assignment?
Okay, we have some questions. You are so blinkered and so fixed in your views that you can't even see what I'm saying. You keep dragging human intelligence, things that humans do, language, chairs, factories, watches, into this conversation. And I'm telling you that human intelligence is something that apes do when they make tools. That's what intelligence is. It has no meaning outside in the universe. Hang on a second. We got a whole bunch of questions here, and we're kind of at the end of this discussion because I'm not going to listen to you say that there were 64 codes again. Okay, so let's can we ask these people, answer somebody's question? Athena, goddess of wisdom and warfare. Can you see it on the screen?
Yes, I can see it. Okay, let me answer that question. Okay. Even if there were an intelligent designer, why could he not have used abiogenesis to create life? Okay. Now, let's just mention one issue, which is the information problem. Okay. So science has commonly claimed that a minimal self-living, the smallest cell would be mycoplasma. Mycoplasma is a pathogen which uses about 500,000 nucleotides in its genome to express the proteins which it requires. But it doesn't by itself it doesn't metabolize the amino acids which it uses, but that is imported by the host, okay? So that is not an example of a minimal free living cell. We need to have a cell which has the ability to synthesize all the basic building blocks which it uses. And an example for that is a bacteria which uses about 1.3 million nucleotides. That is
so wait. Okay, yeah, we understand all that, and we understand the minimum cell. We've heard you talk about it. We've heard you talk about it before. Okay, you don't have to tell us. We know.
Yeah, but he's asking. I would like just to explain why I don't think that abiogenesis is possible. Can I finish to answer the question?
You can try if you'll be brief. Please be briefer.
Okay, I will not extend myself. In order to have 1.3 million nucleotides in the right order, in the right sequence, with specified complex information to code for the right proteins used in such a bacteria, if it is not done by intelligence, then it is done by unguided random means because there was no evolution. And then the odds to have the right sequence is 1 to the 10th to the 700,000 of power. That's far beyond the number of atoms in the universe. So that is simply not a compelling explanation, and that's not a God of the gaps argument.
And anyone that tells you that is what abiogenesis is a fool. Okay, and you guys are fools because you keep bringing that up. Okay, but let's move on here. Okay, and so you're saying your God is a punk, weakling, not smart enough to design a universe, not smart enough to create a universe with natural systems that can perform abiogenesis. God isn't smart enough to pull this off. You're saying he's not omniscient.
Well,
God is too dumb to do this, right?
No, God doesn't do impossible things, Michael.
Why is it impossible? Why is it impossible for a DNA strand to? I mean, okay, it would be an amazing accident if your 1.2 million base strand happened accidentally, but it could happen. What prevents it from happening? Why couldn't God have lined everything up just right so it all fell into place?
Okay, let's suppose that it would happen, Michael, and you have there a genome with 1.2 million or 1.3 million nucleotides lined up in the right instructional sequence, able to make the right proteome set, which would live bearing. But then
God couldn't do that.
No, let's just suppose that God would have done that. You still need to have the machinery for transcription.
Okay, God couldn't do that part. So God could line nucleotides up, but he isn't powerful enough to do the other part.
Well, if you just leave them on the prebiotic earth by themselves, Michael, what would happen? They would simply disintegrate by UV.
Who in the hell said that a cell popped up, a prokaryote popped up out of prebiotic earth automatically? Don't you understand that there are several 100 million years prior to this, okay? That there are smaller steps. Why do you insist over and over again about picking something in the middle and talking about something that's very complicated, a prokaryote with 1.2 billion or million nucleotides, okay, in its genome? Why do you pick that point? Why not go back further and look at how God could have done it by bumping smaller things together? Why couldn't God have done that? Is God incapable of doing that stuff?
Well, it is not an issue if God is capable of doing it. The question is if chance is able to do it. If you leave everything random on its own, what will happen?
Wait. What is random about chemistry? What is random about chemistry? If you put sodium together, if you burn sodium in chlorine, what is random about that? You're always going to get salt. Nothing random.
The sequence of nucleotides, Michael, is specified and complex. It's not just due to chemical reactions.
But you understand that the sequence of nucleotides is about 400 million years after what we're supposed to be talking about, right? You understand that 400 million years has gone by. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna let you go on that, Otangelo. Many Karen wants to know, does CO2 have meaning? Carbon dioxide, does it have meaning?
You can describe what it is, but use it as a code in order to prescribe meaning. You need to assign meaning to it. And then you need other elements in order to maybe create a language or so. I don't know actually what you mean by that question, but you have to make a differentiation between prescription and description. Codes and languages, they are prescribed. A mind has to inform, to inject information.
Yes, we know that minds are required to have human language. We know that human minds are required for human language. I don't get your point. Anyway, let's move on here. Was Gregor Mendel a eugenist? Then, as a Catholic priest, was he evil?
That is a philosophical question. I don't think that I have to answer that, so I won't answer it.
Okay. Let's see. Ask him, which is a molecule? Oh, okay. I think we already did that one. Let's see. Ask Otan, why do creationists? Hang on a second here. Intelligent designers letters talk about the Bible. Yeah. Why? When they were trying to understand real life. Interesting. Okay. So who assigned this? Who did this?
We do.
Was that intelligently designed?
I don't
The,
understand the fact.
Okay, the absorption of a hydrogen atom, was that intelligently designed? Did God pick that number?
No, we are describing what happens.
Okay, what happened? So that could have happened naturalistically,
Yeah.
flowing from the Big Bang. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Progress. Yeah, the blasphemy you're committing here is not admitting that John Maddox doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. You guys, I mean, you know a lot more than these people, and you keep associating with them, and you'll make excuses for them. You'll never call them out on what they make mistakes on. I mean, that is not honest, Otangelo. You need to separate yourself.
Listen, Michael, I have called out both Smokey and John in regards of their name calling. I don't agree with that approach. They think it's all right to do so. That's up to them with God. It's not my way to lead with in a dialogue with atheists. I like to have polite discussions, and I think that's the second time that I'm at your channel. You cannot accuse me of lowering the level to name calling. You called me a fool. I didn't. So I try to.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I call you a fool?
Yes, you did.
I apologize. I know you don't know. Your argument sucks. Okay, you're not a fool. I'm sorry. I don't know where I did that. Did I do that this morning?
Yeah, during our conversation, you did so. But anyway, I mean,
okay.
I am blind to that. I'm being called many worse things than that. So, no problem.
With chemical reactions and ionic and covalent bonding, anything is possible. Yes. Okay. Let's see. I don't think you understood my question. I don't think I did either. I'm sorry. Oh, let's see. Oh my God, we got tons of comments here. Oh God, I don't know where to start. Anyway, we're kind of done here, Otangelo. I just wanted to point out that thing about Maddox and how he is a fool, and he deserves that because he certainly never had a kind word for me. Him and Smokey are assholes, toxic, cancerous, trash clowns. Let's see. Let's see. We got another one here. Top Dog. Can you describe what God is in real life, nature, and/or the misunderstanding of nature? Top Dog, you asked some pretty intense questions. You want to respond to that?
Yes, sure. I think that God is the foundation of all reality. I think that God is the necessary being upon which all contingent beings, which is the whole universe, life, and biodiversity, is contingent on. So I don't think that the physical existence is self-existent. I think there are several philosophical lines of reasoning which bring us to that conclusion. So there has to be a self-existent eternal being which brought everything contingent, everything else into existence.
Okay.
Okay, Iron Carrot here. This is an interesting issue here. And if you watch my debate with Leophilius on regards of abiogenesis, since you are talking about base pairs, the base pairs, the pyrimidine and purines, they have a very specific arrangement of atoms of nitrogen and carbon. And if you do not have that specific arrangement, you do not have Watson-Crick base pairing, and you do not have an information-bearing molecule, and you don't have life. So the question is, how did that specific arrangement of atoms occur unguided? This is a very big problem. And if you have a naturalistic explanation to that question, I would like to hear it. If you don't understand exactly what I'm meaning, I have an article on that, and I can post you the link. I can send it to you through email or whatever, and then you can try to understand it and try to find out an explanation and an answer to it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Otangelo. I was a little distracted. Could you ask me the question a little more succinctly?
Okay,
What
you
was?
know that in nucleotides there are the base pairs, the bases, and they are purines and pyrimidines. Okay, and the purines, they have two-ring constitution, and the pyrimidines, they have a one-ring constitution, and they are made. The ring structure is made of nitrogen and carbon. That ring structure must be just right in order to have the hydrogen bonding between the Watson-Crick base pairing on the DNA ladder. If you don't have the right strength, the right forces, and the right sizes, the right, it's a 25 angstrom of distance from one base to the other. If that distance is not right, and if the strength, the hydrogen bond strength is not right, then you do not have the base pairing and the DNA ladder on the genome. And if you don't have that, you don't have information bearing molecule, and you don't have life. That has to be right just down to the atomic level. And my question is, if there was not a designing agent which brought that together in the right order, in the right form, how did it happen by natural means? And you need millions of nucleotide bases all the same in order to have the genome. So this is a very big problem. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I can link to my articles, and you can read about it.
Otangelo. I've studied molecular biology for quite some time. I know what you're talking about. Okay. So you don't have to send me the article. I know about the bonding. But now if we didn't have life and these things didn't line up, if those chemicals had not bumped into each other, if there had not been a lot of them in prebiotic Earth and they hadn't been selected, you and I wouldn't be having this discussion. Right?
Well, that's a red herring, Michael.
No, it isn't a red herring. It is exactly naturalism. The world exists just like you presuppose you're God. Okay, I presuppose the universe in the same manner. We are on equal epistemological. Well, no, I'm on better grounds than you because I can show you how natural things work right now outside, but you can't show me anything that God does. Anyway, we gotta go, dude. We got to end this, Otangelo. But anyway, thank you for stopping in. And I am so sorry. If I called you a fool, I think it must have been rhetoric or something. I didn't mean to. So anyway,
no problem.
Well, I guess I will call you out on defending John Maddox's idiocy. But other than that, I won't call you out on anything personally. I appreciate you and I appreciate your tone so much more than I appreciate the others. But thank you. So.
Okay, I invite you to come to my channel whenever you want. I will invite John too. And I would like John to clarify what he was meaning, if what I understood is correct, or if he had another understanding in regards of that issue. And then, guys, just figure it out, and let's not keep disputing small things. Let's try to find out reality, origins, and advance on that.
Okay, that's good. But keep Tony away from me. I will not be on a channel with that man. He's a pointy-headed fool, and I won't talk to him. Anyway, Maddox, I will talk to as long as he's civil. As soon as he's not civil, I'm out. So anyway. Okay.
So, thank you for having me on the channel. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, and everybody, I'm going to end this broadcast, and I would like you all to stop in at Saturday night at the Atheist at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. tonight, because we're going to go over a whole lot of things and more. Anyway, have a good day, Otangelo. I'm going to end.